In this week's gospel, there are two things that stick out to me the most. The first one is that Jesus calls us to rest. So the apostles come back to Jesus, having taught so many people in all different lands, spreading the good news, and he says, take time to rest. They hadn't been able to eat, so he calls them to do that. And I think Jesus calling us to rest is such an important thing because in today's society, it is really emphasized that everyone puts as much work as possible as they can in, even if it's not humanly possible. So this is a really nice reminder for us that we need to take a step back, to re-energize, to get rested, so that we're more able to be better servants to Jesus and to others. And I know that I have experienced this, especially in university, when I'm pulling all those all-nighters and I feel like I just need to push through, but then more things keep coming up and it's so busy. But it's very important to take a step back and to rest and just take time with the Lord. So in his video on boredom, Father Mike Schmitz actually says that there's three things we're called to do as children of God. The three L's. One is labor, love, and leisure. And so the third one is, it's very key for us to remember. So much so that Jesus himself wants to take a rest. And later on in the gospel it says, Jesus went to take a rest. But then the people heard about him going to take a rest, and so they went to the place where he was going and arrived there first. That brings me to my second point, which is Jesus didn't take the rest. He had so much compassion that he decided to put his needs second to his sheep. That's a really nice lesson for us to learn, in that even though we may be busy in our lives, we may be exhausted, whatever comes up that we feel is really important, if there's someone else's needs, sometimes we need to push through our own hardships or whatever we're facing and help those in need. This is something that I also experienced while in university. I had a lot of experiences there that were very fruitful in my life. And one was at the end of my second year going into my third year, I knew I was going to be starting my double major program. I was going to have a lot of tough classes and a lot of work, but I was asked by a member in the Newman Center community to be part of the executive committee. And I just wasn't sure if I could take on all of that responsibility, having all the hard classes and other extracurriculars that I already did on my plate. But I decided to respond to the call because others who had come before me had made me feel so welcomed in that faith community that I wanted to be able to do the same for them. And so I decided to commit to it, and it ended up being very fruitful. And even though there were certainly times when I was exhausted and I just felt like I needed to go sleep, I pushed through, and it was very rewarding and very fulfilling. So my challenge to you this week is to look at your life and see the places where you can take rest and the places where you need to push through, and to be compassionate and help others, just as Jesus did in this gospel.